Do we really think that it's a coincidence that since the 80s, serious emotional issues, emotional outbursts, ADHD, depression, serious mental health issues have been on the rise steadily as technology has increased and become more and more part of our everyday lives? Like, are we going to ignore the fact that this is probably going to ruin us as a society? Our addiction to our screens, our addiction to our phones, myself included, the dopamine hit we get from opening our social media apps, from our TikTok, and then we put it in front of our kids and don't talk to them. I was at a restaurant the other day and there was a family with like a 4 or 5-year-old boy, and no one talked to him the entire time. Everyone was on their screens. That's not good for us as a society. And I'm not like some hero either. Like, I struggle with my phone and my screen time. And like, it is so tempting to give my kids a screen to just like have a moment of peace for myself. But I think we got to be really careful about how much we're using screens in our society. I mean, we're depriving kids of communication, social interaction. They're being raised by screens. I don't know.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
Ever find yourself just mindlessly scrolling, switching from one app to the next, knowing damn well you got stuff to do? I mean, 1 minute you're checking notifications, the next you're 6 apps deep, knee deep into memes, already forgotten, while your to-do list just rots in the background. Yeah, been there, and sometimes still doing that. I'm not even gonna lie, this is something I still struggle with. I'll tell myself, let me check my Instagram real quick. Then boom, I'm on Twitter, then TikTok, then Facebook, then back to Instagram like I just didn't leave there, and creeping on Facebook Marketplace for shit I'll never buy. And half the time, I don't even care what I'm looking at. Just scrolling, consuming, just wasting time. I mean, I've literally caught myself lying in bed, phone in hand, in the same position for an hour, no progress, no productivity, just watching random content I won't even remember tomorrow. And that's when it hit me. This is not normal. But lately, I've been catching myself. When I feel my brain going into autopilot scrolling, I stop and ask, do I really need to be on my phone right now? I started purposely limiting my screen time, setting timers, taking breaks, even putting my phone in another room just to break the habit. And what's wild is how much time I've actually, gained while I'm not stuck in the loop. Look, social media ain't the problem. It's how we use it. It's cool to scroll, online, laugh at memes, stay connected. But when it starts stealing your time, draining your energy, and distracting you from real life, that's when it's a problem. We got to start controlling our feeds instead of letting our feeds control us. Curate your apps like your sanity depends on it, because it kind of does. Like, you have to go outside, read a book, call somebody instead of just watching their stories all day. Go out in the sun, touch some grass, get some fresh air. At the end of the day, social media should be a tool, not a trap. I'm still working on it, but being aware is the first step. Don't let it take more from you than it gives. Audit what drains you, protect what fuels you, and don't be a phone zombie.
I don't know what social media addict needs to hear this, but you are addicted because your life is boring. You don't have anything you're focusing on. You don't have any goals that you're putting into action, and you don't have any hobbies. You don't have anything. You know how to play piano? You know how to play the piano, violin? Nothing. You don't have anything that's challenging your mind. That being said, go do something. You have all this life to live. All this life to live. Don't let it be something happen to you for you to wake up. Go start something new. Go create a business. Go do what you gotta do. But don't sit on the bed all day playing it. Because I'm telling you, when push comes to shove, you're gonna look back. I would hate for you to look back and be like, damn, I wish I did something with the life that I had. You don't want to be that person. Get up. Get out. Turn that TV off. Turn that phone off. And get to work. Go do something. Go sign up for some shit. Anything other than watching other motherfuckers live their life all day.
These are the 4 key reasons for social media addiction. And before I lose you, I'm not going to be telling you, don't use your phone, don't do this, don't do that. I think all of us by this point are aware that social media can be addictive. I am not anti-tech. I am here talking to you right now. I just find it interesting to talk about these topics. And I think it's very important to be aware so that you can try and make as many intentional choices with your attention as you can. From personal experience of an 8-month digital detox, I think it's really important to understand the why behind things so that you can really tap into a value-based system. First key point about the psychology of social media is the dopamine loop. Every like, comment, share, notification releases a hit of dopamine in your brain, which is a feel-good chemical. And if you think about it, what have social media companies been doing over time? They've been releasing new ways of getting these new notifications. We didn't used to have the ability to send DMs. We didn't used to have the ability to comment. We didn't used to have the ability to share. They're doing it because they want to keep you coming back for more. In fact, it's the same chemical response in your brain as is linked to other addictive behaviors like gambling. Point 2 is infinite scrolling and variable rewards. It might be that you've never noticed that you never hit the bottom of your feed when you scroll. But I remember the days when you had to click 1, 2, 3, like cross the pages at the bottom of social media sites. The infinite scroll means there's no break in your attention to think, I might take a break. Social media companies pair it with something that psychologists call variable rewards, which is basically the idea that you don't know what post, meme, or video is going to come next when you keep scrolling. It's that unpredictability that makes scrolling so addictive, because you're looking for the next thing that's going to spike that dopamine. And you know what else uses this feature? Slot machines. Point 3 is social validation and FOMO. As humans, we're biologically wired to seek connection with other people. We are inherently social beings that operate in group dynamics. And to be part of social media, you have to be part of the group dynamic by showing that you get comments, you get likes, you get shares, you have lots of followers. And if social media is something that everyone has access to all the time, then what happens when you're not on it and someone else talks to one of your friends and they become friends, or the group that you're part of online experiences something together that you don't because you're off living in the real world? The fear of missing out compels us to check apps regularly to make sure that we're not left out the loop. When in reality, we're always going to feel left out of the loop because there's always going to be more to consume and more to feel left out from. Point 4 is about behavioral design. Social media companies employ literal teams of behavioral psychologists to work out how to keep your attention on the platform for longer. Buy Now is a documentary currently on Netflix that covers how Amazon, for example, use specific psychological techniques to get people to become addicted to purchasing things on Amazon. I would know. Some of the design features we've touched on, like the comments, the likes, the shares, etc. But the big one in recent years has been the algorithm, which studies how you use the app and then uses that information to work out what to serve up to you that is most likely to keep you on the app for longer. I would love to know which feature of social media keeps you personally hooked the longest. Is it the infinite scroll? Is it the likes, comments, sharing? Is it the algorithm? Or is it something else entirely?
Here's some signs that you might have social media addiction coming from a psych major. And if you see me looking this way, it's just me reading off my notes. The first one is going to be compulsive use of social media. What I mean by this is checking social media without thinking, even when it's inappropriate situations like during work, school, or conversations. The second one is if you're checking social media because you're scared that you're missing out on something. Feeling anxious about missing updates, notifications, or trends. A huge one for people is mood modification, which is using social media as a way to escape stress, sadness, or boredom. Another sign is if you have decreased interest in offline activities. Examples are losing interest in hobbies, social gatherings, or responsibilities in favor of being online. Another one is if you spend excessive amount of time on social media. Also, if you're neglecting your responsibilities to be on social media. Also, if you're withdrawing from real life interactions. If you avoid face-to-face interactions and prefer being online for your human engagement, that might be a sign. Also, if you catch yourself chasing validation from social media, constantly checking your likes, comments, or shares for a sense of self-worth.
Are you addicted to going on social media first thing in the morning? Here's how you're going to begin to change that. I want you to continue to grab your phone first thing in the morning, but I want you to YouTube something motivational, something that just feels better, something that is positive, anything where you feel good. Maybe it's travel content or just motivational, a TED Talk, whatever it may be. You currently have a train that is going full speed ahead in your habit of going on social media first thing in the morning. We can't just necessarily get that train to like U-turn, right? That's going to cause quite a bit of chaos. So many of us, we want to stop our habits that we know aren't for the greater good of our lives, yet the task feels too big. So your job is to just practice replacing the habit with something that is a little more beneficial. I don't want you to try and put your phone down. Try to just pick it up first thing you do, just for 2 minutes. Find something a little bit more motivational. You freaking got this. Just try it for a week. Like, why not just try it? Why not? Like, you're already getting up in the morning and going on your phone on social media first thing in the morning and you want to stop. Just try it. Why not? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
One of the scary things about being addicted to your phone is that you don't know when to stop. You can spend hours scrolling, and at that point, you have little to no control over when to stop. That is the main issue. That's the crazy part about it. And if you're not careful, you can spend your whole day literally just on your phone and not interacting with a lot of people. And the next thing you know, your life is online. Life is about in-person connection, not online. That is the real issue, I think. And at times, even I struggle with this. It's hard. And it is a daily struggle that we all face. And each and every day, we have to choose how to live our lives, either online or in person. We choose how engaged we are. Fully engaged, partially engaged, or not engaged at all. We get more joy from in-person connection than online, really.
I think one of the most damaging things about phone addiction, and probably just any addiction in general, is that I don't really feel emotions the way that I used to feel emotions. And I think it's just because all of our attention spans are so cooked that we can't even just sit in our emotions for 5 seconds before we're onto something else. And I think this is a direct result of scrolling, of just like, I look at one video and it's just like a video of puppies and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute. And then I scroll again and it's like somebody burning alive and I'm just like, oh my God. And then I scroll again and it's just like, back to the little babies, little puppies. And it's like, we don't even get time for our brains to like really experience emotions anymore because we're cramming 75 of them into it in a 30-second span. And it's like, I can't think of anything more damaging than that. Like, that's the worst thing. You're literally losing the essence of what it is to be a human being by not being able to experience emotions. And like, I think it's powerful to a degree. Like, being in control of your emotions is good. You shouldn't let your emotions control you and dictate your behavior. But you should still feel that. That's like what being a human is. Like, that's what it is. And I really think that like this is a direct result of the amount of scrolling in the phones that we do and the way that we consume content now, is that we don't let our brains process anything. It's just, I feel one thing and on to the next thing and then on to the next and then on to the next thing. And so that's probably why we're all screwed, is because there's just this constant cocktail of emotions just swirling around our brain that have not even gotten a chance to really make us feel anything. They're just stewing up there, slowly eating us alive. Okay, well, this was a better use of 2 minutes of my time than to pay for a therapist. So thanks for playing along.
Hello, lovely humans. Good morning. Let's talk about social media. One of my friends was asking, how do you not be addicted to social media all the time? Great question. Very hard. Social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, take your pick. They are designed for engagement, which means they want you to spend more time on it. And so the content that you see is selected by AI algorithms that have learned about the types of things that you engage with. So it can be very hard to not be addicted to social media because that's kind of what it's designed for. They're there to make money, right? And at the same time, it's a tool. So how can we use this tool effectively without getting addicted? It really boils down to being intentional about the reasons why we're using it. What are we using it for and why are we using it in a given moment? And also setting some boundaries around it so that we can hold ourselves accountable. Okay, so I'll give you some examples for how I do it in my own life. So I actually have stopped using my personal accounts and I kind of only use my like public persona Jen Foxpot account, and that has helped me a lot because it has created boundaries between my personal and private life and the things that I want to share, like this with y'all. Because social media is a really, really cool tool to have conversations like this and to learn from each other. And I've learned a ton from folks on TikTok and Instagram, and I love seeing the things that people are passionate about and the things that they create, and it's inspiring and motivating. And you know, there's just such wonderful people out there like you. Hey. So I love that. And knowing that I don't share my personal life has helped me to focus on the relationships in my personal life. Because if I go on a climbing adventure, for example, or if I go do something where I have pictures I want to share, oftentimes instead of sharing them on social media, I'll send them directly to a friend or friends. And that has really helped because then I get to talk to my friends more. Yay. So that has helped me. I understand that's not for everybody, but understanding why you are using a particular social media site or app can be very helpful in setting those boundaries for you. What types of content do you share? What types of content do you engage with? And what do you not engage with? And then the second thing is whenever we open an app or go to a site, understanding what we are wanting to do with that tool. How are we using that tool in that given moment? So for example, Maybe I need a little hit of dopamine, and so I open the app to check the notifications. So I'll look at the notifications, I'll respond to comments, things like that. And then I'll close the app. Check. Or maybe I hit a wall at work and I need to zone out. I will, open and scroll for a couple of minutes, and kind of once my brain has had a little bit of time to zombify, then I'm like, cool, done, good. I heard a comparison with social media is like junk fun, and that's pretty accurate. Like, sometimes we do need to zone out, but there's a moment at which, you eat that whole bag of Halloween candy and you're like, I feel terrible, my tummy hurts. Those first 2 pieces were great, but if you keep going, you're like, oh, no. Social media is the exact same way, but for our brains and our emotions, I suppose. So understanding when you're reaching that threshold is really, really important. And maybe setting a time limit. Like, if you hit 5 minutes, you're like, cool, turn the phone off and throw it on your bed or whatever you need to do. But really, at the end of the day, it's about listening to your body and learning to recognize, when you've met that need, when you are satiated, when you've used the tool for what you want to use it for, because you're totally in control. You get to control your time and your attention and fill your life with the things that matter to you and that bring you joy and that make you feel good. So if you start to feel shitty when you're using an app, maybe just turn it off. Done. All right. I hope that's helpful. I hope that you didn't feel shitty when you were listening to this and want to turn it off, but if you did, that's okay, because that's how it goes sometimes. But yes, please let me know if you have any questions, or please share your suggestions for how you create boundaries around social media and how you use it, because that is really helpful for everybody to learn, including myself. Yay. All right. Thank you for hanging out, and have a lovely day. Bye.
I try my best to stay away from negativity and just horrible things overall. I try my best to consume all things positive, because the world is very depressing, guys. Things online, I would say 90% of it is all negative. And you have to try your best, and you have to actively seek good content that actually encourages you and uplifts you. A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
This is not a conversation that women want to have, but it's time we had it. Because of the nature of social media, many of us have become conditioned to crave attention. We want attention more than we want respect, more than we want to live wholesome lives, more than we want to create long-term sustainable success for ourselves. It's basically become an addiction. And before anyone tries to come on here and say that I'm on some kind of moral high horse, the call was coming from inside of my house. I just answered the phone. As much as many of you would like to sit here and say that you're not boy crazy, that has actually been ingrained into this patriarchal society. A lot of us were built and raised to focus on men, to please men, to have men be attracted to us and draw them towards us. My only question is, how far are you willing to go? Some of you show up for your Instagram story more than you do for class. You are willing to drop everything to go on a date, but you can't be consistent to go to the gym. You will spend your last dime on eyelashes to flutter in a man's face before you sit down and write a budget. I'm just pointing out what I've seen. I've seen some of this behavior in myself, and I've done my best to rectify it, but now I'm going to bring it to the masses because we have to stop this. There was a girl who came on here and made a video of her showing her dad her TikTok account, which had blown up to 200,000 followers. He looked at her and he asked her, okay, do you have $200,000 yet though? And she said no. And he said, okay, focus on your studies. That's all I'm saying that we should do. Some of you are so obsessed with attention. You're so obsessed with creating this fake status online, when in reality, you still have nothing going on. Your looks will not save you. That is not your saving grace. If you do not develop your character, if you do not learn how to communicate, if you don't learn how to budget, how to take care of your money, you are going to suffer later. Either because of your complete lack of responsibility, or because you're going to put that responsibility into a man who is going to abuse you because you'll have nowhere else to go. There's so much rhetoric on this app telling men that they need to grow up, and while that may be true, we also need to grow up.
Here's the reason why social media, the news, Netflix is so addicting. We literally build up dopamine tolerance, basically. So dopamine is the feel-good hormone that gets released into our brain when we get a result from something. We get gratification. So when we feel strong emotions, we get a dopamine rush, and our body basically just craves that. So that's why it feels good when someone follows you on social media or likes one of your posts. But the thing is, let's say you're getting 1 follower a day, and for the first like 2 or 3 days, you feel really good, you get that dopamine rush, you're craving that. After a few days, you're not gonna feel that anymore. You're gonna need 2 or 3 followers to feel that same emotional response. And if you're not getting that level of dopamine anymore, then you're gonna feel bored. That's why so many of us are just bored in this life. And it's not because the things we're doing and experiencing are actually boring. It's because we've built up such high of a dopamine tolerance where we need instant gratification frickin' galore in order to feel anything. So if you're somebody who doesn't feel like you can just sit still with your own thoughts for more than a few seconds, and it's really hard for maybe you to read a book, it's not that there's anything wrong with you or that you won't eventually enjoy those activities. It's just that your dopamine tolerance is so high. Maybe you watch a lot of TV, you play a lot of video games. Like, I used to have this problem and I thought, oh, I just can't really pay attention to things. There's something wrong with me. Like, I'd struggle to read anything for school because I couldn't sit and just read a page of something. So don't get down on yourself for this. This is just like a physiological response to the activities you're used to doing. But there's obviously a lot of drawbacks with that. So the good thing is that you can take responsibility over your life and fix this problem. It's just like any other tolerance, like alcohol or weed or something, where you build up a tolerance if you continue doing those same activities on a day-to-day or week-to-week, but if you take a little break, then your tolerance goes back down. So maybe spending less time on social media every day, or playing, 30 minutes of a video game instead of 3 hours. That can bring your tolerance back down, and then you're gonna start enjoying the things you used to find boring. And after doing this for like a long time, you'll start to become really sensitive to these instant gratification activities. Like me, I haven't even obviously cut out social media or cut out TV or anything like that, but I'm on these devices so much less than I ever was in the past. And now it's like I will start to literally get just anxiety from watching an hour of TV, even if the show I'm watching is positive, fun, whatever. And normally we don't notice that anxiety. We just think, oh my God, I have an anxiety problem. Because that's become our norm and we do that every day. And no, I'm not invalidating anxiety disorders, but this is something to look into.
Phone addiction is real, and I feel like it's not talked about enough because it's the new norm. But lately, I've been endlessly scrolling, and I had to come to my senses. Like, what the fuck are you doing? This is not healthy. I feel like there's a difference between scrolling and endlessly scrolling. I've been endlessly scrolling, so I've been putting in the effort to take breaks from my phone and focus on things that nourish my mind and soul. Something that helps you stop being on your phone all the time is stop taking your phone everywhere. Of course, take your phone when you're leaving your home, but I'm talking about like within your home. Stop taking your phone to the bathroom. Stop using your phone when you finna eat or do laundry. Stop taking out your phone when you have a minute or two of downtime. You have to allow yourself to be bored a little bit. You have to allow yourself to sit in nothingness. If you find this hard at first, start replacing your phone breaks with book breaks, or like use a journal, or just do something that makes you feel more fulfilling instead of taking that phone break and scrolling. Doing this frequently reduces the urge to scroll all the time. It reminds you that not everything that make your brain feel good is on your phone. It literally benefits your mental health by reducing stress and giving your brain a break. It can improve your focus and make you more productive since you're not constantly distracted by your phone. You will literally even discover some new hobbies and interests if you just allow yourself to get the fuck off your phone and shit. But yeah, I'll keep y'all updated.
I bet you told yourself that you would stop scrolling at least an hour ago. Didn't you? Well, that's not happening because your social media are constantly overloaded by unuseful content and constant outputs. Therefore, since your phone browser knows what you like, it's going to propose to you the same things. And what you want is to make dumb scrolling as much uncomfortable to you as possible. What you need to do is to clean out all of your social media. For instance, on Instagram, do you really need to follow more than 5,000 people? Are those accounts actually teaching you something? Or at least can you remember one lesson that you learned since you opened the app? Because if you can tell me one, I will make no objection. But if you can remember at least one thing, we have a problem. Clear out your following list and leave just those that actually share value with you. Because the point is, you don't need that much information into your phones. You certainly don't need it into your head.
I didn't want to say this, but I have to confess I have an addiction. It's something that I've been hiding for so long. I'm not addicted to alcohol or sugar, but I'm addicted to doom scrolling, especially with the excuse that since I'm a content creator, I'm doing some research, and it's bullshit. I lose so many hours. I'm out of energy. I literally had to download this app called No Scroll. It literally locks me out of the apps I wasted time on. Now, well, I'm better. I started to read again. I'm actually reading 2 books. So yes, if you have the same problem, download it now.
Hello, sweet child. Before I go peruse the garden section of the home improvement store, I will tell you how to address your social media addiction. I'm not saying that this will work for you, but it has worked for me, and it has worked for me with other addictions as well. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take an inventory. You need to see a number with your own 2 eyes of how much time you are actually spending on the apps. Most phones have a screen time function that will tell you. A lot of apps such as this one and Instagram and a few others have their own screen time functionality, or you can just go old school. Every time you pull up in an app, write down what time you're on it, write down what time you get off of it, right? At the end of this is your first week, right? At the end of the first week, you're going to look at that number, you're going to let it move you. You know what I'm saying? The next thing you're going to do, and I would rather you did this handwritten, is you're going to write down everything that you think social media does for you. Okay? If it keeps you think it keeps you informed, if it helps you feel less lonely, if it helps you feel connected, it helps you feel validated, it helps you with anxiety, it helps you when you feel bored, what have you. Talk about all the things that you think it does for you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come up with ways to get that need met elsewhere. Now, the hardest need to get met off of social media is community and friendship. And the thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is go out and try to make friends in real life if you don't have any, or nurture the friendships that you already have. There are a lot of free events in most communities. Like, for example, at the senior center in my town, I just figured out there's free line dancing on Saturdays, and you don't have to be a senior to go. I'm about to go dance it up with the old ladies. You know what I'm saying? Like, looking for the free events. Like, sometimes people do free yoga in the park, or there's like hiking clubs or whatever, right? And I can already hear some of you being like, well, I'm not confident enough to do it. Do it scared anyway. Like nobody really cares. You know what I mean? If you show up to a function and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm just trying really hard to make friends and to get out of my house and to just like stop scrolling on social media all the time. And I really appreciate being here. So sorry if I'm a little socially awkward. Like, just call it, take the power out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, most people will be like, oh my God, like, maybe I'm making friends too, or, oh, I totally struggle with social media as well. Like, the authenticity, like, people really dig that shit. You know what I mean? So do it scared, do it unconfident. You know what I mean? The next thing you're going to do is you're going to come up with a game plan to slowly reduce it over time. We are taking a harm reduction approach, okay? So if you feel bored and you want to reach for your phone, you need to come up with a list of activities that you can do instead of entertaining yourself that way. You can color, you can paint, you can do a puzzle, you can take up knitting and crocheting, you could read a book, you could go for a walk. I always opt for going outside. Nature heals everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm feeling sad, I go for a walk. If I'm feeling happy, I go for a walk. If I feel angry, I go to the trees. Like, that's just my fix-all for everything, okay? And the reason why I would have you do it this way is because if we're addicted to social media, and frankly, if we're addicted to anything, we are using it to cope with some type of uncomfortable feeling in some way, right? And it's cruel to just take somebody's coping mechanism from them without introducing another one in its place, right? And social media is a coping mechanism. It is a self-regulation tool for a lot of us. It's just a matter of, is it one that helps me feel like I'm fully showing up for my life? I don't want to use good or bad here, but it's like, do I feel like I am living my life to the fullest by using this regulation tool? And for me personally, I feel like I'm living my life to the fullest when I'm out in the woods listening to the birds instead of coping with life by scrolling on a screen, my pocket computer. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's why I'm really hammering in, like, coming up with the alternatives. Like, if you feel sad, you journal or you call a friend, or if you don't, just go for a walk. Like, find a way to get out of your head and like go out into the world. You know, because there's nothing for me, like, if I'm having a day where I'm just like kind of up in my head and I got a lot of wacky stuff happening up here and I don't feel very good, like, just going out into my community, like going for a walk in town or sitting in a coffee shop and reading a book and just like being around other beings and realizing that like there's a whole wide world around me that just kind of goes on whether I got problems or not. Like, that's a very humbling and like grounding experience for me, you know? And so I'm always like just a huge advocate of just like going outside. And if you got kids, take them with you. You know what I'm saying? they'll love that shit. You know what I mean? And if they don't, find a bit, you know, there's all kinds of ways to make it happen if you want to make it happen. There's all kinds of creative solutions. And the biggest thing that we do is we tell ourselves no, or we tell ourselves that it's not going to work instead of trying to find a way to make it work, you know? And so the thing is if you're like truly committed to living your own life and showing up for your own life instead of watching other people seemingly show up for theirs by the very carefully curated stuff that they put on the internet, you'll make it happen.
She is absolutely right about this. The main thing is to start living your life without the need to post it on social media, online, pretty much. Start living your life, having hobbies, spending time with people that you enjoy spending time with, doing things that you enjoy without the need to show people what you're doing in your life. That is a real key. Without feeling that need to have the okay from other people, the validation from other people. Once you get to that point in your life where you are enjoying life without feeling the need for external attention and validation from others, that is when you have made it. And once you get to that point, I promise you, it is a wonderful life.
So I've been a social media influencer for well over 10 years now, right? And about a month ago, I had a realization that I very well may be addicted to social media. It sounds cute for my profession, like, well, girl, you're a social media influencer. But no, because anybody that spends a substantial amount of time on social media usually isn't doing good mentally. Okay, like it brings on a lot of comparison, depression, and I can definitely say, while I wasn't depressed, I noticed that my mood would be substantially lower and sadder if I spent all day on social media. And I definitely found that happening. Like, it's like I would literally wake up and I'm on social media, and then hours would go by. Like, it's crazy how much time can go by on, like, I feel like specifically TikTok. Like, at the beginning of this month, I had to just get honest with myself, like, girl, is this an idol? Because it's taking the number one spot in your life right now. You wake up and the first thing you do is go on your phone. What are you doing? And then on top of it, you have the audacity to not even be productive on the app. What's going on? So I just finished a fast, right? I went on a 21-day fast with my church, and one of the things that I did was, like, I decided to lay down social media for the most part. So that's why I wasn't really on here like that, because I've definitely struggled with the balance of being a social media influencer, but not making social media my everything, right? And I think it is a really hard balancing act as somebody that works on here full time. I don't necessarily have the luxury of just deleting social media and never coming on it again, because this is where I make my bread and butter. And I think honestly a lot of social media influencers and content creators struggle and deal with this. Like, where is the balance of this being our job, but it also not taking over our entire lives and it becoming an idol in our life? So I just wanted to pose the question to you guys. How do you guys balance it, if you do at all? For me right now, the only way I know how is to take breaks, but obviously that's not good for my career. So I just wanted to talk about it. Like, I don't really have the full solution right now, but I feel like there are other people that can understand. So I wanted to just bring up the conversation to figure out how we can create more of a balancing act where we show up on here consistently, give great value and information and inspire and all the things, but also, have time for ourselves and not feel like this is our entire world. What are your thoughts? Help.
I want to say this in the best way possible, but a lot of us who are hooked, and I mean hooked and emotionally attached to being online, we need to, I can't even say we because I don't fall into this category, but these individuals need a reality check and they need to get the heck offline, like genuinely. While social media has multiple benefits for people, there are so many resources, so many ways to learn this, that, and the third without having a proper boundary, without separating yourself from this digital world, you are going to struggle in your real life. Your actual behaviors, your character, your real life relationships are going to struggle. And we see this every time when we hear about actual influencers, people who are heavily obsessed with being in front of the camera. when we hear how people actually interact with them in real life, we cannot find the correlation. Like, it seems like two different people. It doesn't seem like this is the same person. And obviously, this isn't the case for every single person online. This is like for those individuals, right? But it is a common theme that I'm seeing in the social media community with individuals who genuinely, like, they have a heavy attachment to being online. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. In the real world, people meet and talk in person. They build relationships in person, and this has just been the case. They wrote letters to each other. They were pen pals. They, at some point, were sending birds to communicate with each other. Now we get to we can only talk behind a screen, block behind a screen, communicate behind a screen. These are not real. How do I say this? It's not real life. It's just simply not. We see this often. That, you know, there's so much resources, so much information, how to do this, how to do that, how to live your best life, how to protect your peace, do all of these things. But how does one put that into play in their real life? How are these put into practice? It's hard to connect the dots. Although some people can draw the line from things they learn online and implement it, I've been able to do that. I've managed to, really like take a look at certain things. But my distance from social media is there. I have to have that distance. And if I don't, my personality will become even more flawed because of my heavily reliance on being validated by being online and like always searching for that dopamine hit by comment, likes, and all of this stuff. Like it's actually like psychological at this point, and I feel like it's hard to avoid unless you understand what it can do to you and how it can change you as a person. I say all that to say, if you are someone watching this video struggling with being chronically online, you feel addicted to TikTok, you feel addicted to Instagram, you feel addicted to Snapchat, you feel addicted to being perceived, you feel addicted to being vulnerable online, you feel addicted, like you just have to update people about your life. You don't have to do any of that. Free yourself from the constant desire and the constant itch to needing to pull your phone out, intimate moments, intimate thoughts. Feel disconnected from that. Learn how to start journaling. Learn how to remove the perception and the eyes of people from you as a person. And I feel like this is a way we can truly just develop as normal people. And again, social media has its benefits. I have reaped many benefits from being online. But if I solely looked to my social media to benefit my life, or if I heavily relied on it for many sources of validation, I would be a much different person. I feel like I wouldn't even know how to behave like a normal person. People in real life have issues. Like people in real life, even people who don't struggle with like social media addiction, like they truly struggle like building genuine connections, having relationships with people in real life. Like they have just as many problems. But I feel like social media adds more issues because there's so much information, and a lot of us do not know how to filter what we read, do not know how to filter what we see online. We are taking everything in, and our brains isn't processing anything, and that can become dangerous if you don't have your own independent thinking skills. If you truly have, like I said, like you rely on social media to make you happy, you rely on social media to like make you feel validated, you need to run online to share certain things. That's weird. I'm sorry, that's very weird. These are strangers. These people do not know you. Nor are they entitled to your personal information, your personal journey. They're not entitled to anything in your life. But because our brains have kind of tricked us, like, oh yeah, my community, they need to know this about me. They need to know that I'm pregnant. They need to know that I got married. They need to know this. They need to know that. Like, that's not okay. That's not normal. And as Muslims, we also prioritize having some type of haya over our life and some type of privacy. And I feel like the lines are blurred because we're online, right? And I wish more people would discuss this topic. How to properly, comfortably, and be online in a way that is still healthy and doesn't cause so much damage up here. Everybody's on a run to make a coin. Everybody's on the run to new connections. I need this, new that. But without taking the time to shut the door for all these new things and not being able to focus on what's in front of us, it completely turns a blind eye to ourselves constantly, right? And again, like I said, it also alters our brain chemistry. I don't know if I'm making sense. I feel like there's like a lot of nuance to what I'm saying, and there's a lot of reasons why people do what they do, and I'm always very conscious of that. And even with certain events in my life just recently, this has just triggered this thought, and I'm like, how do I discuss this through an Islamic lens, while also being considerate of like the nuance on this topic and the context of what we are doing in today's day and age that like obviously led us to this point? And how do we redirect people to not heavily rely on social media, and how do we direct people to live healthy real lives, and how do we redirect people to putting the phone down to enjoy a meal, putting the phone down to enjoy time with family, and not have to pull the phone out to record every little thing. How do we redirect people if they're literally addicted to it? Like, their brain is telling them, like, this is going to make me happy. I don't know. I'm struggling. And this is definitely a conversation I would love to have in the Muslim community, because we are in the era of everyone wants to be a content creator. Everyone has something to talk about. Everyone wants a podcast. Everyone's given a microphone. Everybody got something to say. Everybody. So I'm really curious, what do you guys think? And how would you guys have this conversation with your children? Social media technology is only increasing. Their desire to be online is going to be 10 times worse than it was for us when we were 14. And yes, while a lot of these things are just normal at certain ages, how do we still protect ourselves? And how do we protect our future children? Because we see the damages it does to families, marriages, friendships, families. Like, subhanAllah, we see what it can actually do to people. And how do we navigate around that?
Also, what I would add to this is just, you want a life of intrigue. You don't just want to always post everything about your life online. Let people wonder. Give people a thing to wonder about. That is the key, I think, is that all of our business is online. And if we can, let us cut back a little bit and just keep people on their toes, wondering, what is this person doing? How has this person been, and all of these things. But if everything is online, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to wonder about. There's no intrigue in your life.
If you're a Christian that struggles to get off your phone, and you've tried everything, you've tried to do the fast, but you end up going back to binge even more, I have an advice for you. Or would I say an advice? I have a few tips for you. First thing I want you to practice is taking 5 to 10 minute breaks away from your phone to meditate on God's word every 2 hours. 5 to 10 minutes every 2 hours. Take a break from your phone. The reason why you're seeing it as such a big deal is because you try to do so many things at once. When you notice that you're having difficulties in some areas that concern discipline, sometimes discipline will not take one big shot. It will be little bits of consistency that will enhance discipline or make discipline more prominent in your life.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.